All right, so another history lesson on myself, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. When I first, you know what? I was thinking like maybe I'm like no, actually, you know what? No, never mind. Because I was gonna say like I'm trying to remember if I cared if Tobey Maguire wasn't Spider-Man this time. I'm trying to remember if I cared. I don't think I did. I honestly think I was sold on these films the moment I saw the teaser trailer. When you saw Spider-Man like running through the walls, climbing under things, and when you saw his web shooters.
We all have secrets. The ones we keep.
Once I saw that teaser trailer, I was sold on this movie like almost immediately. So, and then only till, after the second movie came out, until later, I think until that, I saw a Nostalgia Critic review of Old versus New. Until then, I didn't know that people didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And I was so confused on that. And I'm like, why? Like, why don't they like these movies? And so I haven't watched them since. Like, I watched these ones in theaters, and like, though I have a vague recollection of watching the Raimi films in theaters, these ones, like watching, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I went with my brother for both of these. But yeah, I think I saw this with my brother for both of these. I was in the 12th grade when this came out, so, it was, 2012. Yeah, so I was in the 12th grade, which is, I don't fucking know. But I don't know. But, yeah, when both of these movies... Yeah, so I was excited. So I remember watching these. I'm like, all right, I'm excited. I'm excited for this movie. I watched them. I loved them. I love them a lot. Like, holy hell did I love these movies. And, like, years later I find out people hated them. And I hadn't watched them since. And I kind of thought in my head, well... Man, like, I was honestly kind of dreading rewatching these. Because I was looking at them going, man, like, what if they're not good? I'm like, what if they're not good? And then I'm thinking, and then, like, I hear stuff like, oh, like, and I guess No Way Home, I think I said it. I was mad when Venom didn't appear in No Way Home, or, like, just immediately disappeared. It was not in the MCU. I was mad about that. And he was like, oh, have an Andrew Garfield fight Tom Hardy Venom. I'm like, no, don't do that. And I'm like I want to see Tom Holland Venom do it. But Tom Holland fight, I'm like, oh, God. So I was miffed. And again, all I hear was that, oh, like, out of all the movies, like, these, the amazing ones are the worst ever, and all that. I'm like, God, that's not, they're like, yeah, they're the worst, but Andrew Garfield's a good Spider-Man, but these are the worst. And watching them now, I think these are my favorite Spider-Man movies. Like, how is it? I don't know what it is, but it seems, I don't know, maybe I have bad taste, or I don't know. It seems like the movies that everyone says that are the worst, or the hated, or whatever, are the best movies of Spider-Man. And then the ones that they say are the terrible, no, these are the best, the amazing ones. And they're not. Like, okay, watching the Raimi films, looking through all of that, I hated almost everything with Peter Parker. Like, I hated Peter Parker. And again, I already brought up why I hate Spider-Man 2. I hate the plot line of the character, of him, like, losing his powers, and, like, that means he's not a hero. And, like, someone's getting mugged, he turns around and walks away. He doesn't do the dumb thing, which is also the heroic thing, and try to fight, even if the odds are against him. He turns around and walks away. That annoys the hell out of me. He complains, he whines about being Spider-Man, and all this stuff. I hated that. And then the whole, like, oh, I'm not gonna say I love Mary Jane, but I'm gonna keep, stay around her, but also, like, get angry when she likes other people and stuff like that. And I'm like, again, the nice guy syndrome. I hate that. That the Raimi films are not that good. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. But these ones, soon as I start, I think it was about 7 minutes into the first movie of this movie. Of 7 minutes in, I loved the Spider-Man immediately. It's like 7 minutes and 30 seconds around there. It's when Flash Thompson hangs another kid upside down and makes him try to eat the food. And Peter just goes, Flash, leave him alone. And Flash's like, no, come on, Peter, take a picture. He goes, Flash, Eugene, leave him alone. Flash drops him, beats the hell out of Peter, kicks him while he's down. Peter's out in pain, looks up at Flash and goes, I'm still not taking the picture, and then gets kicked again. Like, that right there, that is a hero. That is Peter Parker. That is Spider-Man. That is Spider-Man. Spider-Man is not the person who looks at someone getting mugged and turns around and walks away. Spider-Man is the one who sees someone getting mugged, will go in there, get the shit kicked out of him, but he will try to save the day or try to help someone. That is a hero. That is good. And mind you, and here's the thing, because I said this before in the last review of the Raimi film, the smart thing to do, you see someone get mugged, you turn away. The heroic thing to do is run towards it. Is it stupid? Yes. Is it dumb? Highly. But that is the heroic thing to do. And Gwen says that, like, I think another minute in, she goes, that was very brave of you. Very stupid, but very brave. And I'm like, yes, that is Spider-Man. And I'm sure someone would say, like, oh, the comic books, Peter's supposed to be, like, weak and a weakling and all this shit. I don't care. Either I don't care, or I think that old story is stupid. And I mean that in the sense of, because I mean this in the sense of, give me a minute. At least my thought process of this, and it is at least my thought of it. If what makes Spider-Man a hero, or what makes him like, yeah, this is Spider-Man, and like he's a hero. If what makes him a hero is that he now has powers, so he's like, oh, well, now I can't get her. Now I can use, this stuff to help people. If that is what makes him Spider-Man, that is a terrible hero. Because, at least how I see it. And that's at least how I see it. Because if you're someone who's weak and all this stuff, and again, I bring up Captain America because it's a good thing. And Captain America isn't one of my favorite heroes, but he is a good archetype for this. Where Steve Rogers was a hero the day he was born. With powers or not, he would fight the bullies, he would fight to protect people, all that stuff, wanted to join the military to help people. Mind you, I'm not saying join the military to be a hero. I'm not saying that. But you get my idea. Like, that is a hero. That is something like that. This Peter Parker is like that, and I like that. I'd rather root for the guy who has no powers and still wants to help people than the guy who would only help people if, like, oh, I have protection to do it. I don't know. Again, it just seems cowardly the other way around. But yeah, I love that Spider-Man. And then another thing, because I know in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, that's when he gets a more classic kind of suit, which honestly, it's probably one of the best Spider-Man suits. But and then like I did not remember until I played the Insomniac Spider-Man. Until I played the Insomniac Spider-Man again. They added the Amazing Spider-Man suit from the first one movie and the Raimi suit. I looked at that suit and I'm like, holy hell, is that suit ugly as sin. I'm like, this is probably the worst suit, and this is probably one of the worst Spider-Man suits ever. I've even seen like some art of it, things before, because again, I haven't seen this movie in years, and I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this suit's kind of really ugly. But, and hopefully I'll have the scene come up in a minute. The scene, because also this is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man scenes.
In the future, if you're gonna steal cars, don't dress like a car thief, man.
Of all the Spider-Man movies, and that's probably including the MCU ones. It's the point where Peter stops or Spider-Man stops the carjacker.
You a cop? Really?
Because a few things. One, I could totally see why Electro probably thought he was someone of color, because he has so much spirit in it. Not saying anyone with lighter skin tone doesn't have that. I'm not saying that, but he does kind of act like how kids would, like at my high school, kind of like that.
I just did 80% of your job, huh? That's how you were paying me?
That kind of thing, like that cockiness to it, and I love it. But yeah, he's cocky, he's webbing, and the part where he webs up the dude.
Come on, let me go! Stop it! Dude, that isn't funny.
It is kind of funny, man.
And I forgot what the guy says, because this is when Peter is going through, when he's trying to find the hunter of Uncle Ben, the killer of his Uncle Ben's killer. But he webs him to the wall. The guy says something, and then the camera just stands at him and looks. As you see Spidey turn his head slightly upward, and I'm looking at him like, he looks menacing. Like, the eyes are singular, but he looks menacing. And that's when I'm like, the reason why this suit is darker, the reason why the eyes aren't technically correct, so that. One, because someone said, like, oh, like, is this is, Spider-Man, like, each character has a homemade spider suit. Or, like, the first homemade spider suit, where, like, Tobey Maguire's one is the wrestling one. Tom Holland is the one where, like, the whatever on. And then they say, like, oh, Andrew Garfield's is just the red mask with the glasses. I honestly would say Andrew Garfield has 2 homemade suits. Even though technically all of them are homemade. I'd say he has 2 of them. There's maybe one. It's not the one with the mask. The mask is just a mask that he puts on and that's it. It's kind of, but not really. This one is the homemade suit. Like, the suit that he wears through the first Amazing Spider-Man, this is the transition suit before he makes the actual one. This is the first suit he has. And I dig it for that, because this is a transitional suit. This is the suit that, right now, Peter is it's kind of dark. It's that he's, like, it's not like, oh, he's just being a superhero for responsibility. No. He's hunting down Uncle Ben's killer. He's going, every time, he's trying to search and find Uncle Ben's killer to probably kill him, to end him. And he tracks him down. He tracks down every person who looks like him. He's kind of angry when he does it. And, he's how he moves and he fights. It's so good. It's so good. And only till after what? Only until after, with Gwen's dad talks, says, no, he has an MO, he has a motive. He's not trying to help people. He's doing something for himself. And only until he saves the kid from the bridge is he that's only when, like, the idea of with great power comes great responsibility really kicks in. Really, like, he gets, like, a variant version of that. Even then he throws it back in Uncle Ben's face when he says it. But that is when he's like, I need to use my powers to help people. I can't just do it for this. And the whole thing of him hunting down his uncle's killer, he drops it. He's like, I can't do this. I can't use my powers for revenge. I need to use my powers to help people, to save people. And that's what he does. And I like that. I like that idea of, like, yeah, he doesn't need to track down the killer, because he's going through it right now going, yeah, I got this. It's done. Unlike, let's say, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. He got what he wanted. I'm going to say, yeah, he killed the killer. I'm going to say that right now. He did kill him. And the guy died. Well, not technically Sandman. Whatever. He got him. And, he took the easy way. The guy died, and that's it. He doesn't have to live with the idea of that he's still out there. He's like, no. And, like, no. And then he's like, oh, no, I should use my powers for good then. No, he sees after he saves people and everything, he's like, what am I doing? He looks at himself and is like, what am I doing? I can't use these powers for, like, stupid shit. I need to help people. I like how you slowly see him learn how to web sling. like, you see, like, okay, like, he learns about, like, okay, I need to act like a pendulum, momentum, and all this stuff. Also, I'm really thinking the Insomniac Spider-Man game is very heavily influenced, not by the Maguire movies, but by the Amazing Spider-Man ones. Because there's some bits where I'm looking at this, I'm like, this looks like the Amazing Spider-Man, like, the game. This looks like the game of the Insomniac game. And, even kind of how that Peter looks, I think kind of looks more like Andrew Garfield, the original face, before they made him look more like Tom Holland. He looked badass. Like how he swings and moves, all that stuff. I honestly think, even like how he talks smart assness.
You a cop? Really? You seriously think I'm a cop? Cop in a skin-tight red and blue suit. You know, you're.
Because here's how I want to describe the three Spider-Men at least. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Peter's an idiot. Him as Spider-Man, it's like, oh yeah, I'm the hero. All right, bye, and kind of, swings away. I'm your Freddy neighborhood Spider-Man. Swings away. That's about it. There's not any, at least to me, there's not any depth to that character. There's not any depth to this guy. Tom Holland Spider-Man, he's the kid having fun, and that isn't a bad thing, and that's not something against Peter and that Spider-Man. Tom Holland Spider-Man, and also, again, I'm going to rewatch those movies too, so, stay on for that, but he's the kid having fun being Spider-Man, helping, his stepfather, Tony Stark, and, all these things, and, when he's, smart mouth, like, oh, yeah, it's mostly, either, out of, kind of naivety, I don't know, I'm trying to think of really good quips that he had, but I don't know. This Peter, he's quippy, yeah, but he's also, a little bit angry behind it. He's a little bit angry for a lot of things, especially, again, the first movie, it really shows that. The second movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, he is a lot more happier, and he kind of, has the jokes, and it's really good, but also, he is the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He is and God, people like to talk shit about the little kid one, which also I love that Andrew Garfield's the one who wanted that in there. I love that. But also honestly, I kind of teared up at the end where the little kid, everyone's saying back, the little kid puts on the mask, stands for, death, and then Peter goes hey man, thank you. He gives him a high five and everything, and hey, don't worry, I got it from here, that, because that kid right there, that little kid, that, I don't know, 10-year-old, at the time at least, that little kid, that 10-year-old, is more of a damn hero than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. That kid is more of a goddamn hero. Honestly, if that scene was done now, if that scene was done right now, and I'm pretty sure, and it's not a race thing, but I'm pretty sure they would have that kid as possibly Puerto Rican, because then that kid would become Miles Morales. I bet you not, if that scene was done now, that would be Miles Morales. Even then, if that kid becomes a superhero in The Amazing Spider-Man 3, which would be freaking cool if they did that, hell yeah. But this Spider-Man, he's quippy. How he moves, how he webs, it's so damn good. The cockiness, the quips, the story I love, whether it be Doc Connor's whole thing, to, I'm trying to think, Doc Connor's whole thing with the, him wanting to grow his arm back. Yeah, but that's not really the case. He wants to heal and regen, and he's slowly getting pushed out of that by Oscorp for money, of course. Peter with Gwen Stacy, the chemistry in there is so good, and it's so lovable, and I love this. Peter isn't just some nice guy creeper, my life kind of sucks because I don't talk to the girl. Instead, I just, will gaze at her from afar, and maybe she'll like me if I'm just staying nice. Yeah, no. And I'm not saying don't be nice or some shit. No, I'm saying if you like them, go talk to them. And it's for anyone, any gender, anything. Go talk to them. Worst case scenario, you get shot through the heart, you're gonna feel some pain, and then, you know, you move on. Like, honestly, like watching this movie pissed me off even more about the Raimi films. Because I'm looking at him like, God, that Tobey Maguire Peter is such a dumbass. And I freaking hate that in No Way Home, again, they made him like, oh, I sensed your Peter needed my help. Like, bullshit. 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 Sorry, I'm getting mad. I am legitimately getting mad because I'm like, no, because all the worst shit. And there's nothing against Tobey Maguire. There is nothing against Tobey Maguire himself. He seems freaking cool. Also, it's really funny that time the paparazzi gets hit by a car and he laughs. But, oh, God, like, people like, oh, yeah, he's the #1 Spider-Man. He is not. He is not. He is a dude he's a dude pretending to be Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, he's like, and mind, I'm not talking about Tobey Maguire, I'm talking about that Peter Parker. That Peter Parker is a dude pretending to be Spider-Man. He is Spider-Man in probably name alone. God, and I'm sad, and mind you, if you like this Peter, fine. It's just that royally pissed me off, like, a lot of that stuff. Especially watching this Spider-Man, which is so damn good, and so much better. I loved everything about this. Even, like, again, the next one where Peter is way more playful being Spider-Man. I love that. Electro, like, that whole thing, like, first off, one. Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man did Spider-Man 2 better. Did the Raimi Spider-Man 2 film better. Doc Connors works way better with the same idea of Doc Ock of, I want to help improve the world and fix it. Doc Connors, however, you know, going insane because of drugs pumping through his veins, and, you know, his plan in the end is, I'm going to make the world better and evolve it. Where Doc Ock, it's, I'm going to make the arc reactor. I'm gonna make the arc reactor. Why? Because Lord knows they're gonna throw me in jail after this, and also know that, like, I'm making this, assuming he wins, like, I'm making a giant reactor that's supposed to power the city and all this stuff just to prove I can at this point, because he's gonna go to jail and shit.
You're
like, and, like, that's even if, like, the government even, like, allows this to happen. Like, no, this is too dangerous or some shit. There is so much, like, it doesn't make sense. At least for that one. Doc Connors, when it's like, oh, yes, you know, drugs are making him insane. Yeah, sure. Also, yeah, on the arms are still weird. The drugs are making him insane, but also, like, he's like, you know, I'm going to heal the world. And, like, okay, I can believe that way more. This one does, what was it? What did this one do better? Because the second Amazing Spider-Man, because that one, honestly, is really good. Like, Electro thing, yeah, he's a fan of Spider-Man, and, like, it just gets skyrocketed when he meets the guy, and, you know, Peter's just being friendly and shit. But, and also, like, his is more, he is tragic. Electro is tragic. Because, one, the dude is most likely on the spectrum. The dude is most definitely on the spectrum, for one. He does the Doc Ock thing too better. Is it Doc Ock? I'm trying to think. I think there was a comparison. I think it was made with Doc Ock. I'm not entirely sure. But, like, Electro, like, okay, yeah. He's probably he's on the spectrum, for one. And two, like, you know, honestly, Electro could have been a hero. Like, he could have been a superhero. Like, I could definitely see if, you know, Peter was able to talk him down. Like, it wasn't just fighting. He's like, he slowly started talking him down and all that stuff. And only until the cop shot him with the sniper round did everything go to shit, and like the Electro go, "You're trying to kill me." Like Spider-Man lied to me. He just wants a favor, and like everything kind of set off. Like I'm like, yeah, and then even the Harry Osborn stuff in that one, I honestly think they did it probably. I'm trying to think if they did better or not. Because in that one, at least, it's I'm trying to think. Like in that one, like the idea is that he becomes Green Goblin because of the sickness, and that he wants to use Peter's blood to do it. And Peter's like, "Look, I can't give you my blood right now because we don't know what could happen, or like what could get it." Even though I probably would have myself, honestly, and even back then when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, I probably would have given my blood to him. Like, dude, like if you need it, here, take it. And like it could have saved Harry, maybe, who knows. But yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, like that, like the villains I think in this were done extremely well in both of these movies. All of them. That Goblin, Electro, and the Lizard, really damn cool. There is that whole like plot hole where like Electro never learned who Peter was, but I guess you could say he knew who Spider-Man was, like as Spider-Man and Spider-Man. So I don't know. Or maybe he was still kind of around when Green Goblin said, "You're Peter Parker." Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I like this one a lot too. Even the shit where it's like, even the stuff where it's is it Peter? Even stuff like, again, the Raimi films, like Peter just came off as stupid and stuff like that. In this, mind you, yes, Andrew Garfield at one point kind of follows Gwen at some point, but honestly, I see that more as making sure she's okay and all right as he's Spider-Man swinging around. So I'm like, okay, that I can do a lot better and believe that more. It's less, oh, look, there's a picture of her. Man, I could have been with her, but no. And even then, this Peter's way smarter. He tells her straight away, "I'm Spider-Man." Which, mind you, one, he's a kid, so yeah, that is probably technically the stupider move. But also on the flip side of that, he saved himself so much pain and heartache, and like immediately, like Gwen goes, "Okay, you're Spider-Man." Like, oh god, I'm in trouble because I'm in love with you and I'm not leaving you. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like that a lot. Like Gwen's like, yeah, we're in this together now. Damn it, we're in this together. Come on. Like, I love that. And like it leaves up so much more. It's like, oh, why aren't you here? Because I was saving some people, honey. Okay, fine. Like, yeah. And again, like this one, or the second Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man 3 one. I like when Spider-Man likes being Spider-Man. Like, God, stop. Like, that's like that, and that's why it also pisses me off at the end of No Way Home, because Peter, at least, like, yeah, like being Spider-Man kind of it was downing on him and stuff like that, but like he still kind of liked having fun, like he wanted to, help more people more and stuff like that. And then the end of No Way Home, it feels like they wanted to give in to all the fans, saying, no, he has to be miserable. He has to have the talk of, with great power comes great responsibility. He has to have this. He has to like there was a checklist that they had to do, and they knocked out for No Way Home. Mind you, they did it well, but again, they still did, like, it was like watching The Rise of Skywalker again. It's like you could see the checklist as you're watching the movie. You can see the checklist as they're knocking them down. Like, he has to lose all Stark Tech. He has to lose this. He has to lose that. I don't know. I hope we see. I don't know. All I know is this was good. Even then, I'm going to say this right now. Even as Spider-Man with the mask, because, again, coming back to these films, I was like, I didn't know if I was gonna like them or not more because one thing I love again, Radiant Black, Sideways, or Radiant Black mostly, are the eyes. The eyes being able to emote. The big eyes, small eyes. When Tom Holland's able to do that stuff with the Spider-Man mask, I love that. Coming back and again, and even like watching No Way Home, which I gotta rewatch it again. Like I'd be like, I don't know, the eyes on them just standing still, it doesn't give too much to me. In the Amazing Spider-Man movies, God, can Andrew Garfield act? Like, physically. Like, there's the point where the Green Goblin flies in at the end, and Gwen kind of stops, and you see Peter kind of go,
Gwen, stay there.
like that a little bit. And literally, me and my sister kind of started laughing because, like, you knew immediately what his expression under that mask was. You knew it was like, what am I looking at? And sorry, but like you immediately knew what his expression was. And throughout the movie, you kind of immediately know what his expression was because he tells it through his movements, how his body language, and it's really, really good. God, he moves so much like Spider-Man in this, and he moves perfectly, where he moves like a spider webbing up lizard to how he swings when he does the first-person cam and crawling on walls and all this. God, how he just webs up, and like you kind of see him like webbing, like he gets a little too long and he like clips his feet against the ground and shit. Like, that's why I honestly think the Fortnite swing is probably better than the Insomniac one, but that's another story for another time. If you took out maybe extend the web cartridges, as well as allow you to reload web cartridges, as well as not having to reload every time you hit the ground, it would be a lot better. But again, that's made for the PUBG thing. But beside the point, this, like, I honestly think this is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. I gotta rewatch the MCU ones, I really do, but Lord knows, these are the best. These are probably some of the best, if not the best Spider-Man movies. The Amazing Spider-Man ones. Like, these do everything that the Raimi films did way better. Whether it be the acting, whether it be the casting, because the characters actually look like they belong in high school. And I can't confuse a teacher for a student when they're standing right next to each other. God. The Peter Parker is charming. He's an actual hero, not a coward who hides behind his powers. The chemistry with his love interest Gwen, it's really is beautiful and heartbreaking towards the end. Him actually showing actual inspiring people for hope. Him kind of stopping some bullies from attacking this kid helps fix the kid's like experiment, and then also, you know, inspires that kid to be a hero too and stand up. And yeah, that is a hero. That is Spider-Man. Not whatever the hell the Raimi film was trying to do. Not that coward on screen. And I'm sorry if you like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. You know, like, again, watching it back then, I love those movies. And I'm not saying I hate them now. No, they are okay movies. But the weakest part of that movie is Spider-Man. And that shouldn't be the case. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the hate that comes from a lot of the hate that the Amazing Spider-Man movies get is because of the people who grew up with the Raimi films, and they're like, no, that's Spider-Man, and it's not. At least to me, it's not. Like, if you love those films, fine, love them all you want. You know, they have some good acting in it. They have some cool villains in it. Not the greatest villains. Like, I'll tell you this right now. I think, I'm trying to think, honestly. like what are my favorite villains in this. Although I will say, rewatching the Amazing Spider-Man movie, I just remember the line, "Poor Peter Parker," and I'm like, right, that was the Lizard, wasn't it? I'm like, holy shit! I remember that way later because I'm like, right, because just how he says it, it's like it's so memorable. I think the Vulture is probably one of my more favorite villains in this. Of all the Spider-Man movies, I got to rewatch that one, but yeah, like like these films. I honestly, because again, I was looking at it, I'm like, I was watching these movies and I'm kind of looking at it, I'm like, what is, like, I wanted to look like, what is wrong with these films? And like, I'm, again, like, probably the biggest thing I was thinking, like, okay, well, something like that is maybe, like, Peter not giving his blood to Harry. Maybe that, and again, that's probably my biggest issue with that a little bit. And then the other thing was, probably a little bit where it's like, oh, like Peter's parents kind of being like more important. I guess that was a bit. I'm like, But even then, like, you know what? You set up some things for later on, and this is another version of Spidey. Fine, cool. What was the last thing? Oh, and then like again, the suit in the first movie, which even then by that scene in that when he first wears that suit and he fights that guy, I'm like, I'm all for this. This is good. This is a good movie. This is an awesome, badass movie. This is a good movie. But yeah. I honestly think the Amazing Spider-Man films are really damn good. They're probably better than the MCU. I gotta rewatch the MCU ones. But these are really good movies. And again, as far as I'm looking at these right now, out of all of these films, I think these are the best ones right now. I'm going to rewatch the MCU ones as well. But, yeah, I think these are the best ones. I don't know why people hated these movies or disliked these movies. Like, I think these are probably the best Spider-Man movies there are. And, honestly, because, again, I was against the idea of, against Venom fighting Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Like, no, I want to see Tom Holland Spider-Man versus Tom Hardy Venom. Now, I honestly want to see the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fight Tom Hardy Venom because this Spider-Man is cocky. Has the quips. He's an actual hero, and that's not saying anything about the Tom Holland Spider-Man. It's not saying about the Tom Holland Spider-Man because he goes and is a hero way before the Avengers and all this stuff. I don't know. This movie is probably... These two movies are probably the best Spider-Man movies there are. And I honestly do hope that we do see more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I legitimately do hope. I am going to hope that the Venom universe and the stuff with that Peter Parker and stuff like that. Like, I don't want Spider-Man to be in the Venom universe, the Venom version of the universe, unless like there's some kind of mashup going on, because I like that universe of the idea of if the hero's not there, what happens when the villains appear? And, you know, like Venom takes the place as the hero in this case, or Morbius looks like he'll start taking the place as well. So I like that idea. This one, like, I want to know. I want to watch it, and I want to know what's going to happen next. But yeah, I am full on would love an Andrew Garfield versus Tom Hardy Spider-Man or Venom. I would love that so much. I still want to see the Tom Holland Venom as well and all that stuff. But I want to see that. I want to see that so bad. But yeah, watching the movies, it totally turned me around on the first suit. I love the second suit as well. Andrew Garfield is probably the perfect Spider-Man. I gotta rewatch Tom Holland ones, but yeah, these are fun. These are great. These are probably the best Spider-Man films there are, and it's sad seeing people say, no, the Raimi films are way better. These are garbage. No. Or they say, like, no. The Amazing Spider-Man scripts are garbage. They're really not. Like, they're the best. I honestly think they're the best films. And even like some people say like, oh, like it doesn't make sense how Electro got his powers. It doesn't make sense how anyone got their powers. And honestly, I like the idea of, okay, yeah, a lot of the reasons because of Oscorp that all this is happening. Because yeah, the conglomerate that kind of runs the world, the conglomerate company that is slowly screwing over the world creates some accidents and creates superheroes. Yeah, it makes sense. Accidentally creates superheroes and villains. Yeah, it makes sense. The villains are better. The characters are better. The Spider-Man is better. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry if I pissed you off saying, that Tobey Maguire is not Spider-Man, but he is a Spider-Man. He is a Spider-Man. Let me tell you that right now. He is a Spider-Man. He's a coward, but he is a Spider-Man. I do not think he is the definitive version of Spider-Man. I do not think he's the best version of Spider-Man. I don't think he's anywhere near the closest best version of Spider-Man. I think Andrew Garfield is the closest we got to the best. Well, let me rephrase that. Andrew Garfield is one of the best Spider-Man that we've had. Tom Holland, I still got to rewatch his movies again. But I think, honestly, like Andrew Garfield, I really like the quips. I like the movement. I like how... And like people say, oh, he's not nerdy enough. He's a different kind of nerd. All of them are different kinds of nerd in each version. I like that. My only, and honestly, I kind of want the Flash Thompson in this. All right, and recording there, and recording. Thompson, because I want this Flash Thompson to become Agent Venom. I want this Flash, because this is the perfect Flash Thompson where he's a bully, but once like Uncle Ben dies, he's like, Parker, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, that is good. That is awesome, and I love that. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. This is the best Spider-Man ones. I'm excited. Hopefully, Andrew Garfield gets more stuff done. He's badass. And honestly, yeah, like when Andrew Garfield happened, because let's put this back around. When I heard Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man instead of Tobey Maguire, I didn't think anything of it. When I heard they were replacing Andrew Garfield Spider-Man for Tom Holland, I was like, why? Why don't you just take Andrew Garfield and put him in the new films? Why do you have to take him out? Mind you, I do like Tom Holland right now, but yeah, like I do remember, like I was like, Tom Holland did sell me on him, but God, Andrew Garfield is still a badass Peter Parker and a badass Spider-Man. Yeah. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please comment my videos. Tell me what you guys think about the Spider-Man ones, if you love the Amazing Spider-Man or not. But thanks for watching, and we will see you later. I'm honestly excited, and I honestly really do want Andrew Garfield to come back as Spider-Man now. I really do. I want to go rewatch No Way Home again after watching these films. Also, because God, there's so many little tidbits. I like how he went from, again, his old Amazing Spider-Man suit to the new Spider-Man suit. It, shows him progressing as Spider-Man. Where, again, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man never progresses, never ages, never turns better. Hell, oh my God, I don't know how I left this out. I love seeing Peter make his webs, make his gadgets, and all that stuff. Or make webbing that doesn't get fried. Or the Gwen, helping him make it, stuff like that. Or the callback to Second Best Science. The movie is so damn good. The characters are so good. And this shows Peter Parker being a genius, being smart. Like, in science and all that stuff is tied into his character way better than the Tobey Maguire ones. How the hell do people say that's the better Peter Parker or Spider-Man? No, Andrew Garfield is the best one. And these films are probably the best ones too. Like, God, I need to watch the MCU ones too. But God, yeah. Like,